back to my channel. My name is Joanna, and this is Joanna Budgets. I apologize if there's not been anything happening on this channel other than this court case at the moment. I've lost about 11 followers in the last few months because, or more. It's probably been about 20 followers in the last 2 months. I'm dealing with a lot, and if you can't hang around and wait for me to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, then I guess you got to check out. I'll rebuild and do better when I'm through one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. So there's that. We're going into day 4 of the trial. Day 3 was the rest of the state's testimonies, their witnesses, their evidence, and so on and so forth. The defense attorney, his day is today. He's going to fill in the holes that he couldn't fill in with the state's evidence and witnesses and such. So he will have the opportunity to call up his own witnesses. The defendant, if he wants to testify, which I hope he does, he can testify today. I think his lawyer's going to try to convince him not to. But this attorney has really just irritated the snot out of me. He's belittled my nephew, asking him if he even knew how to read. Basically made fun of my mom because she's hard of hearing in her left ear. He's belittled every single one of the deputies that were testifying the other day, and it's just shocking and crazy. The only defense that they have is smearing my brother-in-law and painting this picture of this big giant man in a biker gang that was going to unalive him first. They have just tried their hardest to paint the picture that my brother-in-law was a dangerous man. I mean, that's their only defense, is to paint the picture that this man was dangerous. I guess that's their job. But, my whole argument is if you were that terrified, why'd you even walk outside? It doesn't matter if there's stand your ground or self-defense or no duty to retreat. You were already inside. You escalated the situation. And then you took the life of someone that was standing in your yard with his arms up in the air, peacefully just standing there. I don't know. I don't know what the jury's going to do. I am just sitting in the middle of, it's going our way, it's going their way, it's going, you just kind of, as the days progress, you flip-flop, you feel good, you feel bad, you feel good, you feel bad. It just depends on what testimony you just heard and the way that you saw the jury react and so on and so forth. And I'm going to tell you right now, when we get home every day, we don't want to do anything. Our brains have been drained of any kind of function. I'm not seeing my child all week. And when I did get to see him, it was a hug and a kiss, and now you have to go to bed, Bubba. And that's tough. I've had to have neighbors take care of my child because we've been here every day except for yesterday until 6-7 o'clock at night. And I'm sure today will be the longest day ever, because this is the day that the jury is going to deliberate. We're hoping that they can come to a conclusion gosh, I can't even talk. Come to a conclusion today. We can have the verdict and sentencing today, because this judge is no holds barred. He just, gets in and gets done. My daughter had to testify first yesterday. That was extremely difficult to watch my almost 31-year-old daughter have to testify about what she saw that day. And my mother also had to testify, and that was also very difficult watching her. The strongest woman I've ever known in my whole entire life, trembling in fear, on the stand, giving her testimony of what she witnessed that day. Walking out of the courtroom during the recess, because they recessed after she testified, so she was still sitting out in the hallway when we walked out, and seeing her sitting there so puny and scared. Broke me. I can definitely say that this has changed me forever. It was definitely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life to this point. I will be 50 this year, and I've had some things happen in my life. I mean, my Kipton had craniosynostosis. Oh my gosh. Let me slow down. Kipton had craniosynostosis surgery when he was 10 months old. They had to cut his head open and remove his skull and put it back together and sew him back up. Came out looking like a little sumo wrestler for days, and he survived. And that was up until that point, up until this week, was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. But this is going to change me forever. Definitely going to change me forever. Well, I can assure you that if anybody needs help moving, I will never ever be there. I don't give two poops what the situation is in that moment. I won't be helping anybody move. Better call the movers, because I ain't doing that. I'll never ever volunteer to help anybody move again.
Well, at least definitely know it's somebody else's house.
So, it's nerve-wracking. It's devastating. It's a lot of things. We were sitting in there. We had to see the autopsy photos. And in all honesty, hearing the audio tapes of the phone calls, and seeing people testify was a whole lot harder than seeing the autopsy photos. I did break down a little bit. They showed a photo, a close-up photo of my brother-in-law's face, and I did cry. It was very heartbreaking, but that wasn't as hard as watching my mother and my daughter, and even my brother-in-law's fiance, and it was just, the whole thing's been terrifyingly hard, in all honesty. Found out some information. I found this information out a few days ago, so it wasn't as devastating to hear in the court. but there were some things that my mom hadn't heard yet, and she did openly gasp in the viewing gallery, spectator gallery, I guess it would be called, and the prosecutor had to turn around. Shh, can't do that. He's like, it's understandable and it's okay, but we just have to make sure that we don't do that, and so she had to really just keep herself under containment after that. But hearing her reactions to those things, it's heartbreaking. So now we have to get through today with whatever witnesses the defense has and what other evidence the defense has. I can guarantee you that the evidence the defense has is probably going to just be more trying to smear my unalived brother-in-law in the ground to make him look like this dangerous man. I mean, they're trying to say he was taller than he actually was and weighed 100 pounds more than he actually was, because they want to paint a picture of someone who's 4 times bigger than this puny little man that had to take his life because he was terrified. Well, if I were that terrified when people come to my driveway and I was behind locked doors and I'd changed the locks illegally evicting my niece, or illegally evicting another person, I most certainly would have just stayed behind those bars or those doors, because I was safe. I would have called the police, and I would have patiently waited for the police. I would have, if I had a firearm, I most certainly would have had the firearm waiting and ready in case somebody breached my home. There is no duty to retreat in Ohio. There is a stand your ground law. But I don't think those laws apply when you walk outside after being safe inside. I just don't see how that applies. I read the law, and nowhere does it say you're allowed to walk out on your front porch and shoot somebody because they're standing in your front yard. But he's claiming there were death threats. But nobody's heard these death threats. There was a open-ended conversation on text message, but there were no witnessed accounts of death threats. So, I don't know. So today's probably going to be really long. Yesterday was actually a pretty quick day. I think we got out of there before 5 o'clock. Got home. The only thing we could do is sit in our recliners and chill, eat some dinner, and then go to bed because we were just incapable, mentally and physically incapable of doing anything. It's exhausting. I'm going to tell you that. It drains you. My body doesn't want to sleep. I've been getting 4 to 5 hours max these last few days, and it's taking a toll on me. So pray for us that we get through this day. Whatever the outcome will be, if it's a guilty verdict, we won't be done with this. It'll go on and on and on and on forever and ever, until he either runs out of money or gives up, because they have the legal right to appeal the decision, and as long as they have money, they're going to appeal it, and that's well within their rights. So unfortunately, that means we will continue to be defamed and harassed and made to look like horrible, terrible people, and for a very long time. So, yay me. And I fear that if there is an innocent verdict or a not guilty verdict, which I really just don't see how that could be a thing. But if there is a not guilty verdict, I don't think it's going to be over either. I think the family is going to come after us somehow for something and sue all of us or whatever. And I don't know. It's just not going to be over. We're not going to be able to get on with our lives. We're not going to be able to, finish grieving. And, yeah, it's a mess. Don't help your friends move. Especially if there's been any kind of altercation in the last 10 years. I don't know. I don't know what advice to give anybody anymore. I'm just like, yeah, just keep to yourself. Stay in your house. Yeah, be a loner. So anyway, just say your prayers. Thy will be done, or your juju or your voodoo, or I don't care. If you've got it to offer me, I'm going to accept it with open arms. So, thank you for supporting me through this. I appreciate all of the loving comments that I've gotten. I'm thankful that I've had somewhere to go, and tell as much of my story as I could without, a whole lot of judgments, and it was pretty much all just met with kindness and love and caring and understanding. So thank you for that. And I will get back on here as soon as we know what's going on. So anyway, as always, I got a tissue in my hand. As always, we love you, and we hope you have a blessed day. Thank you for watching. Bye, guys.